Legal Dilemmas, where you will find clear, concise legal advice. My name is Brenda.
And my name's Safina.
Today's topic is how to protect yourself from domestic violence. Safina, you've previously provided us with a definition of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Can you now set out how victims can protect themselves?
Yeah, certainly I can, Brenda. There's lots of practical and legal steps that people can take to protect themselves from domestic violence or domestic abuse, whatever you want to term it. Firstly, please don't suffer in silence, as Brenda has said. Violence is not acceptable and there is support available for you. Please reach out to professionals who can help and support you. For example, your GP, other health professionals who are involved in your care. It could be a health visitor that contacts you in connection with your children. And certainly a GP can record your injuries or your mental health concerns within your GP notes. And that will help, Brenda, within any court proceedings. There are also women's support groups out there, like Women's Aid, there's community groups, and you can always report domestic abuse to the police. The police have got a really pro-domestic abuse strategy insofar as protecting victims of domestic violence and abuse are concerned. Remember, everyone, domestic abuse is not just a civil matter, it's a criminal matter as well. So they can prosecute people for domestic violence or domestic abuse under legislation, and that can also be under specific criminal law legislation for example, an assault, a battery, actual bodily harm, or GBH. Hopefully nobody has sustained any of those injuries that we're referring to right now. But obviously it will depend upon the nature of the violence and the type of the violence that has been suffered. And finally, and some may say, least important, but I would say it's very important, Brenda, and I hope you agree with me, is to seek legal advice. Because legal advice, legal protection by obtaining a relevant court order.
So what type of protection can you have from the court, and what type of legal advice will a lawyer provide in this area?
Well, we're both family lawyers, Brenda, and we've advised many a client on domestic abuse and violence protection. So available court orders, well, we've got something called the Family Law Act 1996 in this country. And that's invariably the legislation that a lot of lawyers will advise people to make an application under. So you can apply for a non-molestation order injunction under that, or an occupation order. You can also apply, it's the police or the CPS who can apply on your behalf if you contact or report any criminal injuries that you have suffered, or you've been subjected to any threatening, coercive conduct under the Protection from Harassment Act 1997. And there's both criminal remedies in the form of a restraining order, but also, Brenda, you can have civil remedies under that legislation too. We also have something called the Crime and Security Act 2010. You can apply for the police on your behalf will apply for a DVPN, which they have for 48 hours. And then they can extend that to apply for a DVPO for up to 28 days. We've now got new legislation, which I'm sure lots of our audience have probably heard about in the press, to do with the Domestic Abuse Act 2021. And the police have got something called DAPNs and DAPOs, which are domestic abuse protection notices and domestic abuse protection orders. And finally, please report it to the police, because they can also take appropriate prosecutory action for you. Does that help, Brenda?
Yes, it does. So to summarise, if you are the victim of domestic abuse, don't suffer in silence. You must report it to the police, and you must seek legal advice from a family lawyer or a support organisation such as Women's Aid, who will then guide you as to the legal steps you can take through the civil courts. We hope you found this content useful. Please like, subscribe and share this video, and ensure your notifications are turned on to hear more great legal content.